Hey guys, Pro1701, and today we're going to have a nice in-depth discussion about the new Sonic movie and kind of how fan response and fan feedback and companies' response to that fan feedback can directly influence a franchise, especially a long-term franchise with an established fan base. And we're going to look at how the new Sonic movie kind of compares to other franchises in the past few years like Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, and the Ghostbusters 2016 movie. Also, this video may have some language in it, so don't watch it at work. I try to keep these PG, but I have a feeling, because I'm pretty heated about this one, I have a feeling that this one could have some language involved. So, jumping right into it, the new Sonic movie is doing really well in the box office. Let's start with that. It has made $140 million domestically, which is only about $4 million behind Detective Pikachu, which is interesting to me because I would imagine Pokemon is a much more popular franchise these days than Sonic. But I believe the Detective Pikachu movie did 144 domestically, and the Sonic movie at the time of this recording in March of 2020 has done 140 million, and it's done 300 million worldwide. It also spent the first 2 weeks of its release. It released on February the 14th, Valentine's Day, at least domestically. It spent its first 2 weeks at number one. So it was the number one movie for 2 weeks straight before being dethroned, I think, by the Invisible Man recently. Excuse me. And done 300 million worldwide, which is really impressive when you take into account everything going on with the coronavirus. For example, this movie has not opened in China, and China is the second largest movie-going audience in the world. China's a huge part of the worldwide box office today, in this day and age, in this time, in the 21st century. And with everything going on with the coronavirus, they're keeping the theaters closed because they don't want large groups of people crowding together, spreading the virus. They're trying to contain it as best they can. So this movie has not opened there. It also hasn't opened in other countries like Japan. I don't think it opens in Japan until March 27th. And even in countries where it has opened, like, say, the U.S. and the U.K., with the coronavirus being such a concern, not as many people are going out to the movies because they don't want to risk catching this thing or spreading this thing either. Even with all of the coronavirus concerns, this movie still made $300 million worldwide, which is pretty impressive for a video game movie to do. So this movie's doing really well. Now, what impresses me about that is, let's go back in time a few months to when this movie was just kind of coming out, when the first trailer came out, when the teaser images came out for Sonic, and we saw that first trailer, and Sonic looked terrible in that original trailer. That original design for him, where he didn't really look like Sonic, they tried to make him more realistic looking. Since it's a live action movie, they kind of took some liberties. They redesigned him to look different than his original video game and cartoon counterpart. And fans hated it. I mean, it was pretty much universally rejected. It was another one of those things where the fans were immediately like, nope. I don't know anybody who looked at that redesign, the original design, went, ooh, nice. People were making it. People were memeing it. It looked like it was going to be another video game adaptation where you just shook your head and said, this is going to be terrible. And then an amazing thing happened. A thing that in Hollywood doesn't happen. And I'm still amazed that this happened. The people who made this movie actually saw the fan response, said, interesting. And, even more amazing, said, you know what? Y'all are right. We're going to listen to that feedback. We're going to take some time. We're going to redesign this. We're going to fix it. We're going to make it right. Our bad. And the director, Jeff Fowler, even tweeted about it. We're going to take a little bit more time. We're going to work on this. We want to get it just right. They delayed the movie for about 3 months so they could redesign Sonic. And that's what they did. They gave him a complete redesign. They made him look much more like the incarnations of Sonic we're familiar with. He looks much more like his video game and cartoon counterparts now, to the point to where people love the new design. The second trailer that dropped was very well received, and the movie's doing well at the box office. It's making money, $300 million worldwide, at a time when a lot of people aren't going to the theater. And it hasn't even opened in China, which is a large chunk of the worldwide theater. So I think this is a good example compared to so many other franchises that are losing money because they don't listen to their fans. I think the first time this really cropped up for me was the Ghostbusters 2016 movie. The first time I remember people making a film, getting a negative reaction to an announcement and a trailer, and just kind of turning on the fan base and attacking the fans. You had the director, Kevin's his name? Producer, whatever. And, you had these people who were deliberately engaging with fans in a negative way, calling them misogynist, sexist, prejudiced, whatever, basically talking down to them. I've never seen the 2016 Ghostbusters. I have no issue with an all-female Ghostbusters cast. The reason I was pissed off about this movie is they waited until Harold Ramis died to make it. Because you had 25 years after Ghostbusters 2 to make a Ghostbusters 3. And while I love the 2009 video game, I consider that Ghostbusters 3, I wanted a third movie. You had 25 years to make it, Sony. And then right after Harold Ramis dies, we're going to make a new Ghostbusters movie. Is it going to have the original people in it? Oh, no, we can't. Harold died. That wouldn't really work. So we're going to bring new people in. And I've always been pissed off about that. So I'm just immediately, I was like, nope. Never watched it. Now, don't get me wrong. I've heard Ghostbusters 2016 is not a bad movie. I don't hear people say it's a bad movie. I don't hear people say it's a great movie either. I hear people say it's okay. The best I've ever heard is good. Not good, but good. It's good. It's good. It's kind of the okay good. Not the good, the okay good. But again, I don't ever hear people say it's terrible. But I've never, ever had anybody come up to me and say, that Ghostbusters 2016 movie? Oh, I liked it even better than the original. That's never happened. Never happened. Ever. Because the original is a classic. And IGN actually ranked the top 25 comedies of all time once, and Ghostbusters was number one on their list. The original Ghostbusters, they ranked it as the number one comedy of all time. So, I do like the fact that in Ghostbusters' case, the pendulum seems to be swinging the other way, and maybe Sony learned their lesson on that, but we'll get back to that. So, I don't think the Ghostbusters movie the 2016 one necessarily did bad at the box office, but it didn't do great either. It definitely didn't do what they were hoping it would do, so they never did a sequel. And then when they released it on DVD, they added the Answer the Call at the bottom of it. And I think that's another example of the studio not listening to the fans, condescending down toward the fans, insulting the fans, and we said, fuck you, we're not going to see your movie. And we didn't. Because I would love a new Ghostbusters movie. I'm very excited about Afterlife coming out. We'll swing back to that. Let's move into Star Wars territory. Last Jedi. Last Jedi is, it's a shit movie, honestly. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate everything about it. The Luke stuff doesn't actually bother me. And the Luke fight scene with Kylo Ren at the end is probably one of the best moments in Star Wars. I love the Luke. I like that scene. But the movie, for the most part, is shit and stupid. And doesn't make a lot of sense. And doesn't need to exist. And don't get me wrong, Last Jedi is not universally hated. It is very much a movie that split the fan base down the middle in a way that even the prequels had never done before. Where you had people just very... I don't know the word I'm looking for. Let's just say they defended their point of view very aggressively. They were very aggressive about their opinion of it. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people out there who like Last Jedi, and I'm not saying your opinion is any less valid than mine, because it isn't. Your opinion is just as valid as mine. If you like it, you win. But personally, I thought the movie, for the most part, was shit. It does a lot of things I don't like. And the box office numbers reflect it. And the problem with that movie is... once again, Rian Johnson's like, I don't really listen to fan feedback. He came out, I kind of make the movie I'm going to want to make, and I don't really listen to what the fans say. The paraphrasing, that's pretty much what he said. So he doesn't really pay attention to that. Why the fuck would you want to listen to the people who are going to pay to see your movie? You know why? Because your movie's going to make less money. And then that caused the opposite problem of, I do think that the negative reception of Last Jedi from a lot of the fan base is what led to Solo doing so poorly. I think if Solo had released before Last Jedi, I think it would have made a lot more money. It's the reason I didn't go see Solo. Don't get me wrong, one of the reasons I didn't see Solo is I thought it was an unnecessary movie. But I probably would have went to see it just because it was a Star Wars movie if I hadn't been so put off by Last Jedi. But I really wanted to punish them for Last Jedi because I hated that movie. So I didn't go see Solo. I still haven't seen Solo. I don't ever intend to watch Solo. And Solo bombed at the box office. So this is another example of not listening to your fans, not paying attention, not engaging with your fans in a positive way, and pretty much insult. I don't understand this thing where movie makers and directors and stars insult the fans. You hear some of these stars and stuff, they talk down to the fans, and I'm like, why would you do this to the people who are paying you? The people who are, paying to see your movie, because we vote with our wallets. And Rise of Skywalker was the same way. They went into a panic mode. And don't get me wrong, it's good to cater to fans, but you don't want to go into panic mode and try to cater to fans without really catering to fans. We had Duel of Fates get canceled, which sucked because it looked like a good movie. I still wish they would make that movie. Disney needs to make Duel of Fates because they're Disney. They have money. You're Disney. You have money. Money is not a problem. You collect companies like Infinity Stones at this point. You're the Thanos of the world. Just make the movie. It's going to make money. But Rise of Skywalker did even less in the box office because, that's a point, I guess, where they tried to please the fans, but they didn't do anything interesting with it. They really played it safe and made it kind of a greatest hits of the original trilogy, and it doesn't work. And the box office numbers reflect that. Let's look at the box office numbers for the sequel trilogy. The lowest one is Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker domestically did $515 million. Internationally did 500, and I can't read my own handwriting. It's like $558 million for a worldwide total of $1,073 million. Let's compare that to The Force Awakens, which came out 4 years sooner. Now, keep in mind there's a 4-year gap between these movies. Force Awakens did $936 million domestically, which, by the way, is the domestic box office record. It has more than Titanic, it has more than Avatar, it has more than Avengers Endgame. The highest grossing domestic movie of all time in the North American domestic box office is Force Awakens. It did $936 million compared to Rise of Skywalker's $515 million. And Last Jedi only did $620 million. Last Jedi dropped off by about a third. You know why? Because people didn't care. Because Force Awakens, a lot of people went and saw it more than once. I saw Force Awakens twice. I saw Last Jedi once. And one of the only reason Last Jedi made a lot of that money was we didn't know how bad it was going to be when we went into it. We went in thinking it was going to be good like Force Awakens was, because Force Awakens set up such good stuff. It ended with us seeing Luke. We wanted Luke. So we went into Last Jedi excited and hopeful, and we left not so excited and hopeful. Some of us anyway. Some people, again, love that movie. I don't get it, but again, I firmly believe people are entitled to their opinion on that. Force Awakens international box office was $1,131,000,000. So the international box office was more than Rise of Skywalker's worldwide box office. And Force Awakens' worldwide box office was $2,068,000,000, which is pretty much almost double Rise of Skywalker's worldwide. Double. And when you're saying numbers like double, when you're talking about things like billion, that's a lot of fucking money. So what happened? Why did Force Awakens make over $2 billion Rise of Skywalker barely clear over $1 billion. And all you have to do is look at the numbers for Last Jedi, who internationally did 712 million and 1,332,000,000. So we went from 2,068,000,000 to 1,332,000,000. That's a pretty significant drop between movies. You know why? Because a lot of the fan base saw that movie, realized that movie was complete shit, and we didn't go back. And then Rise of Skywalker came out, and we went to see it because we had our fingers crossed with hopes and dreams that maybe it could fix things, and it didn't. And don't get me wrong, I think they tried to listen to fans there, but they were in panic mode and didn't really listen. They just kind of guessed at what everybody wanted. There's Lando. They want Lando. Let's sneak Wedge in. Instead of really listening to what we wanted. And the reason I go over all of this is because they didn't listen to the fan feedback when they should have, and it cost them money. We could have told them what we wanted. And if Last Jedi had been a better movie, it would have made more money. And then Rise of Skywalker also probably would have been a better movie, or we would have got Duel of Fates, and it would have made more money. Same thing with Star Trek. A lot of Star Trek fans don't like where Star Trek's going now. Some people don't like the Abrams verse. Some people don't like Discovery, and I think some people don't like Picard. I haven't really heard much about Picard from fans, so I don't know if that's doing well or not with fans. I haven't really heard a lot of feedback on it. I know a lot of people don't like Discovery. I don't like Discovery, and I've never even watched Discovery. I don't have any interest to watch Discovery because for me, it breaks canon. It pretty much takes canon, breaks it into pieces, throws it on the ground, stomps on it, shits on it, wipes its ass with it, and throws it in the garbage. That's how I feel about Discovery. Because I'm a big Star Trek fan, and I'm really big on the idealistic future that Gene Roddenberry created for the series, that all of the series, for the most part, have tried to create and show. And it has. There's a lot of world building, especially in the original series and Next Generation, but even in Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise, this hope for a better future where humanity has left a lot of its prejudices and negative aspects behind. And instead we have Discovery where a lot of that's brought to the forefront. And you hear people in interviews talking about, well, we try to make it less like the idealistic future Gene wanted and more like something people in today's world can connect with, where there are all these conflicts and strife and interpersonal conflicts. I don't want Star Trek to be that realistic. If I wanted things to be that realistic, I'd get outside more when I'm not working. I watch these shows to escape from all of that because I see enough of that in the real world. If I want that kind of thing, I'll go out to a club and get that kind of thing. I don't want that kind of thing. I'd much rather just watch my idealistic TV show because it's fantasy. I watch TV to get away from reality from. That's the whole point of television, to escape for a little bit and to be entertained. Same thing with the newer Star Trek movies. They don't perform as well. I actually like the 2009 Abrams Trek movie a lot. I actually thought that one was really good. I enjoyed it. But I didn't like Into Darkness. I think the first half of it's pretty good. And then it becomes a silly Wrath of Khan remake that doesn't work. And I didn't really care for Beyond either. I really don't need Beastie Boys music in my Star Trek movies. I like the Beastie Boys. I like Sabotage. I don't really need it. And the fact that they use the music to beat the shit, I don't know. I have a lot of issues with the way the second and third Abrams movie treats Star Trek, because they don't feel like Star Trek. They feel a lot more like Star Wars, which doesn't work for me for Star Trek. And then we move into Doctor Who, which has been losing viewers for the past few seasons. You look at older seasons of Doctor Who from the modern series, but like the Russell T Davies era, or Davies era, whatever, Russell's era, and you look at even Stephen Moffat's Matt Smith eras, and you see viewing numbers throughout the season, usually somewhere between 7 to 9 million, sometimes dipping into the 6 millions, not including Christmas specials, which are usually higher. Christmas specials and Day of the Doctor, stuff like that, are usually in the 10 to 12 to 13 million. Like, I know Voyage of the Damned was at 13 million, whereas End of Time Part 2, I think, was at like 12 million. But the specials always do better. But usually the episodes average anywhere from between 7 to 9 million, sometimes dipping into 6 million, sometimes getting up to 10 million. And that's usually where they sit. I don't really remember episodes dipping under 6 million until around season 9 or 10 of Capaldi's run, which is Capaldi's second, third season. You start seeing them dip into the 4 and 5 millions. And I'm talking about consolidated numbers, not overnights. Consolidated is the first 7 days. The overnights combined with people who have watched over the first 7 days. People who couldn't catch it when it aired but caught it within that first week. Like me, I tend not to watch it right when it airs. I buy it on my Xbox and watch it usually the day after. So consolidated numbers. And the series finale of season 12 just aired this past Sunday, and its consolidated numbers came out, and it has the lowest consolidated number in Modern Who, which is 4.55 million, which is terrible for a show that easily could do 7, 8, 9 million an episode. Especially bad considering it's a finale. It's not some middling episode. It is a finale that's tying up plot threads that have been running for the whole season. And it was the worst viewed. It's the worst numbers in all of Modern Who. So the past 15 years of the show's history, because word got around. The overnights, I think, were 3.78 million. And word got around, and so the consolidated number was less than 1 million added to that. Because word got around that the episode was crap. Because the reason I bring this up is that Doctor Who has been losing, it's just bleeding viewers at this point. People are just tuning out to the show. And it's been happening. A lot of people want to blame Chibnall and Whittaker for starting that. That's not true. It really started back in Moffat's era because of the writing. But we've been complaining about the writing for years. So it started back in Moffat's era, but even that, the numbers haven't hit as low as they have under Chibnall with the consolidated numbers. That is a new low, 4.55 million. Consolidated 3.78 overnight. Which is not the lowest overnight, but it's pretty close to it. But this is another example of someone pushing back against fans, because Chibnall has stated several times a lot of these people, they double down, they stick to their guns, they will not admit they messed up or that they did anything wrong. These directors, these producers, these writers, sometimes these stars, and Chibnall's the same way. He defends his position. He puts his foot down. He says, no. This is why we're doing this. He just recently said something about how, when you start doing something, you have an idea in mind and you have to see it through. You can't, necessarily listen to the buffeting winds of fans. And that's stupid. You should always take what fans think into account because they're the ones who watch your show. Now, for the BBC, it's not quite as bad because they get their money anyway because they charge a licensing fee over in Britain. You have to pay your TV licensing fee anyway, so they get the money regardless of, whether you watch the show. Plus, they get a lot of money from their international partners. So whether you like the show or not over there, they're still getting their money. So that's a little different. But whereas in with Star Wars and Star Trek, we can impact them with our money, our wallets. Doctor Who, it's more the ratings. You can see it impacting them in the ratings. And possibly in sales. I mean, people might not be buying the Series 11 and Series 12 steelbooks. I don't own Series 11 and Series 12 on steelbook. I own them digitally because that's how I watch the episodes. But I haven't, I like my shelf looking good, and I still haven't bought the steelbooks for those because the Series 11 steelbook just looked terrible. And the Series 12 one is overpriced, in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong. I actually enjoyed Series 12 of Doctor Who for the most part. I hated the final episode. I absolutely hated the final episode. But I thought the series myself was good, even though a lot of people don't like it. I know a lot of people hate it. But the first 9 episodes I thought were great. So it's just another example of people not listening to the fans. And the reason, and this is really went on far longer than I intended. I rambled way too much. The point I'm getting across is that with the Sonic movie, you have a perfect example of what happens when somebody listens to the fans. If they had just, no, this is how we're going to do it. You fans are dumb. We're going to do this design. It's better. And if they had released this movie back in November with that original Sonic design, I'm willing to bet this movie would not have done well. It would have been a joke. It would have went down like so many video game movies have. But the fact that they listened to the fans, openly admitted that they messed up and they could do better, took the time and spent the money to fix it, and then released it, they have a situation where the movie is doing well. It's receiving fair praise. I mean, it has some criticisms too, but it's receiving fair praise. Families seem to like it. Everybody I've talked to has really enjoyed it. I've had people tell me it's the best thing Jim Carrey has done in years and that he's really good in the movie. I had somebody tell me he was even more animated than Sonic in it, which is great because Jim Carrey can do that. And it's performing really well in a time when a lot of people aren't going to the theaters. 300 million worldwide. And touching back on this, it's nice to see that Sony is catching on to this too, because now we're getting a Ghostbusters movie that looks like it's something the fans want. It's like they looked at what happened with the 2016 movie and said, you know what, Ghostbuster fans really want a sequel to the 80s movies. And that trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife looks great. They have Ivan Reitman back producing, the original director back producing. They have his son Jason directing. Jason, who was, on the set. He was very little when they made the original Ghostbuster, but he was on the set. He has a small cameo as a kid in the second movie at the birthday party. He's kind of considered the first Ghostbusters fan. They have him directing the movie. They have the original cast coming back. They have other good actors as kids playing in it, and they're tied to the original movies. Also seems really nice. It looks like a really good trailer. It looks like a really good movie. I'm very, very excited about it. And it looks like fan response for it so far has been really, really good. They're throwing out several new toy lines for it that were shown at Toy Fair, including reissuing the original Kenner toys for real Ghostbusters, which is nice. So they're really getting behind this movie, creating merchandise for it. You can tell that Sony really wants to push this and get it out there, and they really actually seem like they care. And I think this movie will do well because it seems like they've listened to the fans. They've got the fans excited. They're giving us what we want. And I'm willing to bet this new Ghostbusters movie will do well, just like this new Sonic movie is doing well. So I personally think that is the exact reason why Doctor Who is failing. The new Star Wars sequel trilogy has failed. The new Star Trek movies, for the most part, have failed. Is because they did not listen to fan reaction and really work to please the fans. They think they know what we want better than we know what we want. And while I'm all for subverting expectations, I do think you need to use some basic common sense when doing it. Especially with things like Doctor Who. In the series finale, we learned the origin of the Doctor. Spoiler alert, whatever. And, we learned that they totally upend canon. They totally mess with 57 years of history. And I'm not as pissed off about it as some people. Because some people are, adamantly angry. And I'm not adamantly angry. I'm not going to just stop watching the show. I still love Doctor Who. I'm not going to burn my DVDs or anything. I'm still going to watch the Christmas special. I'm still going to watch the next season. But they give an origin for the Doctor to try to explain who the Doctor is. And there's no reason to do that. You know why there's no reason to do it? Because the show is fucking called Doctor Who. That's literally the name of the show. That's why they named the show that. Who is he? He's just called the Doctor. Doctor Who. Exactly. That's it. That's why I've never needed to know who the Doctor was. I know he's a Time Lord that got bored on Gallifrey and ran away because he didn't like the fact that his people didn't go out and use their knowledge to help people. And he wanted to help them. And he does tend to get rather involved. That's all I needed to know. It's the only backstory I've ever needed for the Doctor. So that was really, really a situation where creating an origin story for a character was unnecessary, which it is in a lot of other things too. You know, Heath Ledger's Joker doesn't need an origin story. Don't ever do that. Michael Myers never needed an origin story because it was a stupid origin story anyway. So don't give me one for Doctor Who because I don't need it. Anyway, this is Problem 171. Just kind of talking about how fan reaction and how these companies react to fan reaction can greatly affect their profitability. The sequel movies, every single one in succession, made less than the one before it, and to the point to where Rise of Skywalker in the worldwide box office really did only about half as much money as Force Awakens. We're talking a little over 1 billion compared to a little over 2 billion with a B. Big difference. And we see that in other things like Doctor Who, where the viewership is constantly falling off. As opposed to the new Sonic movie, where they listened to fans, they admitted wrong, they tried to fix it, and they're making money. And the same thing with the new Ghostbusters. They're listening to fans, they're giving us what they want, and there's been a pretty positive reaction from fans about it, and I think that movie is going to make a lot of money this summer. Anyway, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications. Check out my other channel, Another Sci-Fi Guy, where I review other non-Star Wars related content, Doctor Who, Star Trek, stuff like that. And most importantly, especially if you've made it this far, thank you for watching.